Council's Cabinet, which will be webcast. Before we start these proceedings, may I bring to your attention some housekeeping matters. There is no expected fire alarm testing today. Therefore, if the fire alarm sounds, please follow the fire and emergency procedures and leave via the nearest fire exit. Please can I ask that you use your microphone when addressing the meeting, and that it is switched off when you're not using it, and that your mobile devices are turned to silent. So item 1 on the agenda, apologies. Do we have any apologies?
Thank you, Chair. So we have Councillor Evans, the leader, attending online today, so won't be able to vote, but is here to present one of the items. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. And item 2 is declarations of interest. Do members have any declarations of interest in respect of the items on the agenda today? Nope. So I move to item 3 on the agenda, minutes of the previous meeting. I propose that the minutes of the meeting held on the 10th and the 19th of March, a lot of cabinets this month, 2025, be signed as a correct record. Is that all agreed? Thank you. So item 4 is questions from the public.
No questions received, Chair.
Thank you. So item 5 is Chair's urgent business. Are you going to?
So there's 2 items of Chair's urgent business today, the leader. So there's one item on the evening and nighttime economy, and one other item for you to introduce in a moment.
Okay, so if we begin with the item on the evening and nighttime economy, and I invite Councillor Sally Hayden to tell us about that. You're going to be joined by Christina Browning.
Thank you, Chair. This afternoon we're joined by our Community Safety Manager and Christina Browning, the Head of Community Safeties. Christina will be speaking about a relatively new partnership in the city, the evening and nighttime economy, predatory behaviour, disruption, partnership. That's a pretty mouthful, even for the likes of me. This partnership between Plymouth City Council and Devon Cornwall Police targets those who act in a predatory manner towards women who just want to enjoy a night out and have a good and every right to do so safely. The partnership aims to prevent predatory behaviour from escalating into serious violence against women by spotting the signs early and taking a swift, robust action against offenders. Our bars, our restaurants, clubs and public spaces should be a place of fun and safety, not fear. Our city stands for respect, for safety and for the right for everyone to feel protected when they step out after dark. Thanks to the dedication of our team, our partner agencies and local venues, there are a lot of initiatives to keep people safe at night in Plymouth. Some of these include the Safe Bus, street passes and the work that Best Bar None asked for Angela, and the commitments of those working at night to keep people safe. Plymouth also has been recently recognised for the safety of its evening and nighttime economy with the achievement of the Purple Flag Award. Because when we work together, we can create a nighttime economy that isn't just thriving, but it's also safe and welcoming and free from harm. It is therefore fantastic to see another intervention in the form of this partnership, improving safety at night even further. It is additionally exciting that this is new and innovative approach to develop in Plymouth that is now attracting attention nationally. Let's continue to lead by example and make a real difference. So, Chair, I'm now going to hand over to Christina because she will be able to put into a lot better words of all the excellent work that they have been doing. So I invite Christina.
Thank you, Councillor Hayden. Excuse me. So I'm here to talk to you this afternoon about the Evening and Nighttime Predatory Behaviour Disruption Partnership. It is a long name. So this is a partnership between ourselves and Plymouth City Council and Devon and Cornwall Police. And our aim is about preventing violence against women and girls from occurring within our evening and nighttime economy, but by using civil tools and powers as an early intervention to that predatory behaviour. Now, when we talk about predatory behaviour, we're not necessarily talking about behaviour that's criminal, but it is behaviour that causes women to feel afraid and in fear when they're on a night out. And the College of Policing, as you can see in this slide, gives some examples of the type of behaviour we're talking about. So isolating women from their friends, harassing women, following women, making inappropriate sexualised comments, that behaviour that causes women to feel afraid. And there was some interesting research last year by Dr. Ruth Lewis and Dr. Amanda McBride from Northumbria University, which showed that 44% of women that they surveyed felt fear as a result of unwanted sexual intrusions on a night out. So that's nearly 1 in 2 women going out and feeling afraid through predatory behaviour. So we were aware in Plymouth that there was some intelligence coming in through the police's Project Night Eye programme about certain individuals in the city behaving in a predatory manner. What I wanted to add here is that this isn't an issue in Plymouth. This is a national issue within any nighttime economy area. And the vast majority of people who go out with the best intentions to have a safe and enjoyable night out. This is about a small minority of individuals who go out without those good intentions, and it's those that we are looking to target. So the issue that we had was that we were seeing intelligence that showed people behaving in a predatory manner, but the behaviour wasn't criminal. So the police weren't able to take any criminal action around it. But we knew that it was causing harm. And so what we established was, well, actually, if this behaviour was behaviour that caused or was likely to cause women to feel harassed, alarmed and distressed, then it did meet the definition for antisocial behaviour. And this isn't what we would usually think of, certainly for us as a community safety team when we talk about antisocial behaviour. But if it meets that definition, then that's exactly what it is. And the benefit to us of thinking about that behaviour as antisocial behaviour is that we have the ASB Crime and Policing Act, which gives us a range of civil tools and powers that are available to us and the police and to housing providers to prevent that behaviour from continuing. And the benefit of using civil tools and powers is that the evidential threshold is a lot lower. So for us to prosecute somebody criminally, or the police to prosecute someone criminally, they need to evidence beyond all reasonable doubt that that offence has occurred. When we look at civil tools and powers, we're looking at, on the balance of probability, has somebody behaved in a certain way, and that's much easier to prove. And as I said, there are a range of tools and powers within that legislation, for example, community protection notices, injunctions, criminal behaviour orders, and we have a lower level ASB escalation process as well that we can apply. And within many of those notices and orders, we can include exclusions against people who come into our nighttime economy and cause women to feel afraid. And so that's the approach that we took. And so this is a real shift of focus from whereas we've been dealing with criminal offences, or the police have been dealing really well with criminal offences that occur in the nighttime economy. What we're trying to do is prevent those offences from occurring by intervening early and using those civil tools and powers to try and prevent those people from their behaviour escalating into those sexual offences. Where it's also been useful is where we suspect that a criminal offence may have occurred, but it's not that the police haven't been able to have the sufficient evidence to prove it beyond all reasonable doubt. So we've been using those tools and powers against those in those cases as well. And just a final point here is that we also are aware there are a couple of individuals, or a few individuals over the past year and a half when we've been doing this work, that have been behaving in a predatory manner towards women involved in street-based sex work in the city. We know those are our most vulnerable women in the city, and so it's been really effective to be able to use these tools and powers against in that community as well. So we initially ran this as a pilot, so from the end of November 23 to the end of November 24. And during that first year, as a panel, as a partnership, we reviewed 43 individuals where there was intelligence around predatory behaviour. What was interesting is that all of those individuals that the intelligence linked to were male. We would have looked at predatory female behaviour as well, but within that year it was male. And there was a really wide age range, so with our youngest being 22 and the eldest man that we dealt with being 77. And out of those 43 individuals, we found it appropriate for 18 of those who were behaving in a predatory manner, causing our women to feel harassed, alarmed and distressed whilst on a night out, to have a joint early intervention from ourselves and the police. And that's where I talked about those civil tools and powers. And what I wanted to note here as well is we're not a team where we just issue enforcement and we issue letters or give warning notices. These are really meaningful interventions where we ask these individuals to come into the police station, to meet with somebody from within our team and the police, to talk to them about their behaviour, to try and help them to understand the impact their behaviour has and why it's not acceptable, to understand what's going on for them. Are there some underlying causes why they're behaving in that way, and is there any support they need? Prior to this piece of work taking place, none of those individuals, none of those 18 would have met the threshold for a criminal investigation. So prior to that, their predatory behaviour would have just remained unchallenged because there was nothing that we could do. And possibly what we would have then seen is that behaviour then, an escalation in that predatory behaviour potentially into those criminal offences. But we were able to exclude them from the nighttime economy area to prevent that from occurring. And what's really key is when we've done a review of that first 12 months, not a single one of those individuals, of those 18, reappeared to us as a partnership with any further police intelligence logs or crimes linked to predatory behaviour within the nighttime economy since that intervention took place. So we knew that it was effective. It's not to say that that's never going to be the case, and if that behaviour does occur, we can escalate to the next stage of our process. But within the first 12 months, we saw real success. We, as a result of the pilot being really effective, we decided to pick it up as a team and incorporate it into our business as usual. And so we're now into year 2. We have seen with the first 4 months of year 2, we've already dealt with 13 individuals that have had interventions within that time. So as you can see, compared to the whole of the first year, we looked at 18 already, a third of the way through the year, and we're at 13. What I would say is that's not because there's been an increase in individuals in the city causing women to feel afraid, but because we've been really promoting the submission of intelligence and feeding back as to why it's important to do that and what we can do, we've seen an increase in the intelligence because of that, which is brilliant. It does present challenges. We're a really small team of 3 operational frontline officers, and this is in addition to all of the work they're already doing, but we do it because it's the right thing to do. And then I thought I would just finish on a case study just to give you an example of one of the interventions. So we had an individual who was ejected from a venue in the nighttime economy for touching women without consent. The intelligence came into the police. Initially, there was no information as to who the male was or who the victim was. But the Police Intelligence Directorate, who sit within our partnership, did some really good work and compared with CCTV with the Police National Database and were able to identify who he was. When we look at individuals, we look at the bigger picture and we look at what else may have happened. And with this particular person, there was previous intelligence for high-risk domestic harassment, and he was also subject to a restraining order for another case. So we knew this is a pattern of behaviour and somebody that's potentially quite dangerous. So the decision of the partnership was to issue him with a community protection notice warning. Apologies for the abbreviation. Essentially what that is, it's a letter that says we can evidence that you've behaved in a certain way, and as a result we're asking you not to do a list of prohibitions, and within that we included an exclusion from the nighttime economy within set times. I should also note here that obviously the behaviour that he was committing was a criminal offence, but the police weren't able to proceed with a criminal investigation in this case because we had no way of identifying who the victims were. And so rather than just do nothing, we then went down this road with it instead. He came into the police station, had a conversation with one of my team and the police officer. He acknowledged his behaviour. There was a conversation around that. He accepted the exclusion from the nighttime economy. He raised that he had an issue with alcohol, which he said was the reason why he was behaving in a way. So as a team, we always look at those underlying root causes, and there was signposting and support offered around alcohol use. And he has not been back into the nighttime economy or that we're aware of since that's happened. In terms of our next step, so this is a really innovative use of these tools and powers in Plymouth. As I said, traditionally, ASB tools and powers haven't been applied in this context. And so we're really keen to promote this nationally because we think it's a really good way that, you know, the evidence has shown that the first year it's been really effective. We've been up to Bristol, we've been invited to attend a roundtable in London to talk about this use of tools and powers, and we've had inquiries through the London Metropolitan Police who are really keen to set something up in one of their areas. So it's great to put Plymouth on the map in terms of the work that we're doing, and that was also recognised at the National Resolve ASB Awards this year, where the project and the partnership was a finalist for Project of the Year. Then the only other thing that we would like to do as well, if we were able to find some funding, would be to try and fund some behaviour change work. So when we issue people with enforcement, we can include positive prohibitions around engaging with an awareness course, an educational programme, so that they understand why their behaviour is not acceptable and they can work with that person to try and prevent that from reoccurring. So thank you very much for having me here to speak to you this afternoon, and I'm really happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Sally, do you want to add anything?
And the only thing I would say is thank you to the team for coming. I think we need to make it very clear that Plymouth is a very safe city, and you know it stays being safe. Thank you to this very small team. And the partners, without our partners, we wouldn't be able to achieve what we have achieved. But you know, it's really important to stress that point that Plymouth is safe, thanks to all these different programmes that are going on. There's so many programmes, Chair, that goes on behind the scenes, and I just felt today was so important to let Cabinet know and the wider city know of the good work that is being done in our city. So my thanks again, and well done again for your awards and being recognised nationally as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, you know, you described this kind of very meaningful interventions that are clearly having impact. So, you know, and anything that makes sure that, you know, women are safe in our city, that, you know, we all applaud it, and it's getting deserved attention. So thank you very much, Christina and Tracy, for joining us. And I think we note this report. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. I should have, in item 1, appointed Tom to be vice chair, to come and join me over here, if anybody else would like to second that. Thank you. Okay, so while everybody takes their seats, I will move on to item 6 on the agenda. Members of the Cabinet will have seen a report under item 16, which contains commercially confidential information. Does anybody wish to ask questions about the Part 2 report? No? So in that case, I propose for transparency we remain in Part 1, public meeting, while everybody's finding their places. I think Tudor would describe this as a pretty big day in the office. The paper entitled City Centre, Homes England and Civic Centre Strategic Update is before us. And we are honoured to have guests. I think I would describe it as a pretty stellar cast today, joining us from Homes England, City College and MHCLG. Councillor Evans is leading a peer review in Brighton today, so is joining us online. And Luke Pollard is in Parliament, so he has recorded a message. There are quite a few people who want to speak, and given the importance of the topic, I'm very keen to ensure everybody has the opportunity, so I think we will get started. And Leader, I am going to hand the floor to you, Councillor Tudor Evans.
Thanks very much indeed, Chair, and I join you live from somewhere down the south coast. Just in case anybody thinks Brighton's next door to Plymouth, it took me 5.5 hours to get here. So we're not neighbours, but I'm delighted to have the technology to meet you. If for some reason this link should go down, I have recorded my statements on a video, which Jamie will play to you if it doesn't happen. So I'll carry on while electricity is still willing. And yes, I'd like to echo your introduction there, Chair. We have got some very important people in our midst today. So if I could welcome Eamon Boylan, Chief Executive Officer of Homes England. It's great to see you, Eamon. We've got Harry Roberts here. We've got John McManus here, both from the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government. We've got also from Homes, South West Homes England, we've got Joe Wharton. We've got Helen Bone. Jackie Grubb is here from City College, Richard Stevens, the chair of City College. We've got Lorraine Hill from City College, and Paul Fanshawe too, and from City College. So we've got some very important people. So Plymouth has momentum. We have wind in our Britain's ocean city sails. In fact, I cannot think of another time in the last 50 years when this city had such an opportunity to drive transformational change, to improve the outcomes of our residents with higher wages and with better homes. Now, last month at Cabinet, we adopted our new economic strategy, our ports strategy, and our creative industries plan. And to be fair, I did say then that there was more to come very quickly, and that we were very serious about delivery. And here we are. We're at an economic tipping point in the city with an unprecedented £6 billion investment pipeline, underpinned by a £4.5 billion investment by our government in defence. Through that strategy, we will deliver 1,000 new businesses, 8,000 new jobs, a £6 billion investment, as I say, £1 billion increase in our GVA. Productivity is going to increase by 20%. We're going to help 5,000 people into work. We're going to bring 50 vacant buildings back into use, and we're going to lift 3,000 people out of poverty. And importantly, we said we would build 10,000 new homes. Now, this is what today's meeting's all about. And I can't think of a report to this Cabinet more significant than the one that you have in front of you. A report that establishes a new long-term partnership and shared vision with Homes England to deliver 10,000 new homes in and around our city centre. A report that will see the civic centre transformed as a national beacon for city centre regeneration and into cutting-edge city living. A report that will provide Plymouth with a new state-of-the-art city centre campus for our amazing City College, focusing on the blue-green skills our future economy needs. A report that secures an unprecedented £40 million grant package. Now, that's the largest for any single project that we've ever assembled. And a report that once again illustrates that this council is prepared to invest and has the skills to deliver big. Now, I do want to say a few things about our brilliant partners. Eamon, I want to pay tribute to the amazing work of the agency in coming alongside the council over the last 2 years, and not only sharing our vision, but helping to expand it. There are too many people to name check, but I do want to recognise the amazing work of Neil Hook, Joe Wharton, Duncan Innes and Helen Bone. The new partnership that we are assembling from our side of the fence is one of the most significant and important regeneration interventions that we've ever done. Please be assured that we will give it everything and we won't let you down. I thank you for your investment in Plymouth, and I very much look forward to signing our MOU very soon in what I hope will be a major celebration of our joint work. Jackie, we believe in the power of the local college here in Plymouth, and we back it to the hilt. When we brought this opportunity to you a few years ago, you were immediately enthusiastic and ambitious to explore it with us. Your team have engaged brilliantly, and I cannot tell you how proud I am to have you anchor our flagship regeneration scheme with a brilliant new city centre college campus. And I'm even more thrilled that it'll directly address the future skills needs of this city so that our kids will get those high-paid jobs that they deserve. Thank you for your significant investment in this project, and I cannot wait to see where you go with it. Now, before I pass over to Eamon to say a few words, I do want to explain again to Cabinet that what we are doing here is not only significant in Plymouth, but is significant nationally. In the spring statement last week, Rachel Reeves mentioned Plymouth in the context of large-scale national defence, explaining how it will underpin economic growth locally and nationally. The important role that we now play is on the record. This investment in homes, skills and regeneration will all underpin that endeavour. This is a national investment in that national endeavour. Be in no doubt about that. And be in no doubt that this is just the beginning of realising our ambition for Plymouth. Plymouth's time has well and truly come. Eamon, the floor is yours.
You're on mute, Eamon.
Sorry, I was following the rules. I do apologise. Thank you so much for letting me join you this afternoon. It's a real privilege to be here at the Cabinet meeting to discuss such a significant partnership. I think I can safely say that we think the partnership between Plymouth City Council and your other partners and the agency is an exemplar, which we want to see replicated right the way across the country. It's quite rare as it stands, and it's a really significant tribute to you that you put the legwork into creating that partnership. And it's not just about building houses, it's about creating homes and fostering a proper sense of community in place, which is the very definition of what I want Homes England to be about. Partnership just doesn't mean easy agreement and pats on the back. It means difficult conversations and challenge, but this comes from a place of commitment and belief in our shared goals. I too would like to extend my thanks to Councillor Evans, to Tracy Lee and to the team, to David Draffin and Matt Ward for their drive, energy and patience. Although we've been working together for a number of years, today marks the start of the next phase of the partnership. As Councillor Evans said, this is about delivery. So the vision for delivering, it says here 12,000 homes in my note. I don't know whether we've sneaked in another couple of thousand without telling you, but across the prioritised sites, it's not just a number, it represents a commitment to addressing the needs of existing residents, but also the homes for to accommodate the predicted growth that the city is expected to experience. And it signifies a dedication to providing quality, affordable and accessible housing that meets the diverse needs of the community. Homes England has truly coalesced around the mission for Plymouth, bringing a whole agency approach to the city. And we're delighted to be part of the Growth Alliance Plymouth that represents a tangible step forward in the ambition for the city to grow in every sense. Bringing together stakeholders' expertise, resources and a passion, all working towards a common goal. And that's a powerful reminder that when we join forces, a difficult challenge can be met to achieve positive outcomes. And I would encourage you to continue supporting the Growth Alliance. Your involvement, commitment and challenge will be vital to its success. But together we can build a brighter future for Plymouth, one home at a time. In conclusion, I'm delighted to be able to talk to you today in support of this partnership, and I look forward to seeing the progress and the positive impact it will have on the local community in supporting Plymouth as it continues to develop as a place where everyone can live, work and thrive. It's a privilege to be working with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Eamon, and it's a privilege to be working with you too as we all move to this very bright future that we are committing to today. So now I think we're going to move to the video of Luke Pollard, MP.
Hello, I'm sorry I can't join you in person today, but I wanted to send a message thanking everyone involved for the hard work that has gone into the funding being secured for the Civic Centre and for opening the door to further regeneration projects in Plymouth. As the local MP for Plymouth, Sutton and Devonport, I've been working with the City Council and badgering many ministers to try and get the focus on Plymouth that we need. It's not just because Plymouth has an incredible housing story, huge potential to deliver units faster that will make a really big difference to the life chances of folks in our city. It's because Plymouth plays an essential role as part of our national security story. The work that we do in the dockyard is critical to our safety and security, not just of the UK, but of the whole NATO alliance. And recognising that and investing in the homes we need to attract in the people to work in the dockyard in the future, as well as supporting our wider ecosystem of industries, is absolutely essential. Government is recognising this, and they're putting money into our city, not just the £4.5 billion worth of investment in the dockyard, but money to support our housing ambitions and our skills ambitions. This is really good news for us as a city. I think the Civic Centre is a beacon project. It should shine a light on the opportunities that exist in Plymouth for new developments, for more housing, for more investment. And yes, the public sector should be taking prime position to pump prime those sites, to create their greater viability for developers to come forward with their projects. But we should also be clear that this has happened because we've all worked together. I believe in coming together and to work with the council. We've got a great council in Plymouth. They do great things, and when we can all work together, we have the possibility to achieve even bigger things by working with government, by working with Homes England, and I want to thank the team there for the faith they've put in Plymouth and our city's leaders to deliver projects, especially outside the usual constraints of a combined authority. Not yet anyway for us, but thank you for coming together. This shows, I think, the opportunity that we have as a city to do great things, to deliver not just the growth agenda that we need as a city and as a city leading in our region, but deliver against those national security objectives, which I can't talk about on a video like this, but you all know what they are. We've got a great opportunity here, and now we've got the funding, let's create the momentum. That means we can get the cranes in the air. So by the time that we complete this Parliament, there'll be cranes in the air right across Plymouth, showing what redevelopment, new housing, new jobs, new industries can deliver for our city, showing that real growth potential. And when that happens, we'll all be able to say that we were part of that. Local members of Parliament, the City Council, local councillors, Homes England, local businesses, the officials and staff of so many different bodies all coming together. So thank you for your work. Thank you for this important first step that we can tell the public about. And let's hope that this is just the start of what is going to be a huge investment in our city that will deliver not just for Plymouth and the janitors that live here, but deliver for our national security as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Luke. So now I'm going to hand over to Jackie Grubb and to Richard Stevens. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for all your kind words. And, you know, it is an absolute privilege to be here today and a privilege to bring two of my amazing team with me as well. And, you know, as our city faces a real challenge around average wages remaining low at 28 grand, we're well below the national average of 32. Skills attainment is really falling short, and we all recognise that, with both young people and adults struggling to reach national benchmarks. Key Stage 4 English and Maths results, overall Level 2 attainment and higher level and higher education qualifications all actually lag below the national standards. So we're driving real social mobility. We need to be bold, and we need to be creating transformative action. So that's why we are absolutely delighted to see this challenge recognised in both the Growth Alliance and the city's new economic plan. For years, we've aspired to create a large city centre campus. So I don't know whether any of you realise how special this is for us today as well. And now, as part of this flagship redevelopment, that vision is really now becoming a reality. So we've built a strong jobs pipeline. Now it's up to all of us with one voice to ensure that those opportunities are accessible to our local communities. Our vision is absolutely clear. A state-of-the-art city centre, blue-green skills hub that delivers world-class education while driving world-class regeneration. We are proud to be anchoring the Civic Centre across the basement and the first 3 floors, fully utilising this space to its absolute fullest potential. And it's about life, it's about activity and people, and a real passion for lifelong learning and widening participation. This campus won't just be for students, it will be open all year round, including evenings and weekends, ensuring accessibility to the wider public. Our commitment to the blue-green skills is at the heart of this project, and we will train up to 2,000 students a year across 60 new courses. This site will offer a full spectrum of education, which includes 16 to 18, full-time study programmes, apprenticeships, adult training, higher education and commercial courses, as well as upskilling, cross-skilling and retraining. Our comprehensive training will cover engineering, it will cover nuclear and offshore wind skills, augmented reality welding, green energy technologies, retrofit skills, sustainable business management, and key city centre training in areas like health and special education needs. We will offer an ambitious, future-focused curriculum that not only inspires the next generation of engineers and net zero professionals, but also provide clear career pathways in high-demand industries. By working closely with our employers, we will co-develop, co-design curriculum and workforce planning to meet evolving skills requirements. But actually, what is most exciting of all is the power of partnership that's already been alluded to. This project is happening because we came together with one voice to make it happen. And a huge recognition goes to the council for its investment and its vision, and ensuring that we all together can deliver lasting change for our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Richard?
Yeah, just briefly to say, on behalf of the children who've not been born yet, thank you for giving us the opportunity, or giving them the opportunity for learning, and thank you for giving them the opportunity of homes and places to live. And I just want to sort of pay testament to the courage of the people in this room, because, you know, I sit in a unique role and I know how difficult this was to bring together, and it's taken heart and it's taken courage. And just to sign this off today, you know, the Civic Centre has stood there for, you know, 4 or 5 decades. My personal belief is this is going to be the most beautiful thing to behold as it comes to fruition. It will be more iconic than our city centre was iconic at post-war. And for the people who get to live there and the people who get to study there, because this isn't just children, this is adult learners, this is going to correct some of the deficit that we've experienced as a city over the years in our learning, and it'll be the trigger point for a campus approach of education from early years through primary, secondary. I've high hopes. This is going to do it all, you know. So I know it's just a building, but it's more than that. And I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you for getting this over the line. And it'll be tough to get it, you know, to get it all open. But by heck, it's going to be good, isn't it? So just a massive thank you from me. Thanks.
Thank you, Richard. Yes, no journey like this is ever smooth, but my goodness, the prize is so worth it. So I'm now going to hand over to 3 members of the Cabinet, starting with Councillor Creswell, then Councillor Lowry, and then Councillor Penberthy.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Thank you for those wonderful introductions. Fantastic. So we stand at a pivotal moment in our city, uniquely positioned in having a plethora of opportunities for people in Plymouth to enjoy deeply fulfilling work, serving the local economy and the wider world. We have a rare and transformative opportunity to bridge the gap between potential and prosperity. Now, I firmly believe in the adage, if I see it, I can be it. And that is, if our children grow up seeing a vast array of opportunities for their own futures and believe that they can actually be that future, even if they're not born yet, I'd add. They can picture themselves as leaders, as placemakers, as scientists, as engineers, and all the varied and exciting roles we need to continue the great work in our innovation and productive city. It is actually beyond exciting to know we can realise this potential and create together a skilled workforce fit for the future. City College plays a vital role in our skills ecosystem, acting as a cornerstone for education, training, workforce development. Its contributions are indispensable in equipping individuals with the tools they need to thrive in a rapidly evolving economy. The role of our educators in the city is to harness the talents and the interests of our young people and to channel this energy into them seeking meaningful employment and meaningful lives. City College has an impressive track record of enabling our young people to believe they can be part of a rapidly developing infrastructure and can adapt their skills for today to being the skills needed for tomorrow. We already know that City College is future thinking, having been able to congratulate them for receiving, as I have done in this room, the Association of Colleges Beacon Award for Innovation for 2024-25. The national recognition of excellence in further education is indeed an impressive accolade for the college and for our city. The staff of the college are supported to draw on AI-powered tools to enhance student learning, supporting strong arrangements for planning, learning and quality assurance, streamlining work and enabling focus on student learning. City College Plymouth is the city's anchor organisation for skills. It supports more than 12,000 young people and adults to upskill with industry-experienced lecturers and works with more than 600 employers locally to address the skills gap. More than 1,500 apprentices are supported by the college each year to ensure their training needs are met, and the apprentice has a positive contribution to their employer's future growth. City College Plymouth nurture and support a passion for excellent teaching and learning and enabling every student to be the very best that they can be for a fulfilling and productive life. The Blue-Green Skills Hub demonstrates the college's continued commitment to investing in cutting-edge facilities to support careers in growth industries. This initiative represents the Council's largest ever investment in skills capital. It's a bold and unprecedented step towards shaping a brighter future. It's not just a project, it's a commitment to fostering growth, innovation, and most of all, opportunity. We have the chance to drive a step change in raising ambition and attainment across our region. By doing so, we can empower our children and young people to access the high-paying, future-focused jobs that are emerging in the economy. However, we must acknowledge that failure is not an option. In these opportunities bypass our local communities, we will have fallen short of our mission. This is more than a priority, it's our singular focus and our unwavering mission moving forward. Together we can ensure that no one is left behind as we build a prosperous and inclusive future. And I am going to just finish with one little small anecdote. I'll take you back to 50 years ago, about 50 years ago, perhaps not that long, to my teenage self. And The Civic Building, that iconic building, is the place where I went with my parents in order to collect the forms to fill in for my grant to go apply to university. And more importantly than that, it's the place where those forms were actually returned, along with later the confirmation of acceptance at university. I was the first person in my family to go to university. And it was in that building over there, I can even smell the polish when I went into the building. And it is an incredible thing for me because that was the start of my adult grown-up life. And I have come full circle here, coming back to what is the autumn of my life, but now seeing these wonderful opportunities for a new generation 50 years on. And can I say, what a privilege it is to know that all these great things that so many of you have done, but what a great privilege it is to me to know that I am just a small part of helping and enhancing that to happen. So thank you very much, and thank you to all of you for the incredible amount of work that you have done and the commitment that'll be for our citizens and our young people in this city.
Thank you, Councillor Cresswell. Councillor Penberthy.
Thank you, Chair. We've had an intensification of housing in the city centre in our sites for quite a long time now. You only need to read the policies in the joint local plan to see that. What we've got in front of us today, however, takes that ambition substantially further forward. It's always good to learn from what others have done, something that we in local government are good at. And the more you look, the more you learn, and the easier it is to pick up what others are doing. Obviously, with the housing lead, I talk a lot to others about that, and on this basis, I would suggest that housing-led regeneration, and especially housing-led city centre regeneration, requires three key things. It requires brave and ambitious leadership, clear direction and master planning, and a real value of the importance of strategic partnerships and investment. This was reinforced last week when I happened to be visiting Salford, Wolverhampton and Telford to see what they've been doing about housing and city centre regeneration. In each of these areas, Homes England was strategically important and warmly talked of, and those three characteristics really clearly demonstrated. And today, I think we're demonstrating exactly the same here in Plymouth, on a periphery, rather than just being across the boundary from someone else that's also growing. That makes us special. Over the last few years, Chair, I've made no secret of the fact that we're in the middle of a housing crisis. Quite often, what you hear me talking about is therefore homelessness and temporary accommodation. But the housing crisis in Plymouth goes beyond that. And the real solution is about provision of permanent homes at all price points and in all tenures. This takes long-term solutions, and that's what today is all about. Well over 10,000 permanent homes and other facilities on brownfield sites in the centre of Plymouth. Repopulating our city centre, giving many thousands of people the chance to call town their home for the first time since the 1940s. This is placemaking in action. And that's not something that happens quickly. It takes a long time to build a relationship and the trust and the confidence to develop the thinking to lead to a decision like today. And that wouldn't have been possible without Tudor and Tracy's leadership. And I would personally especially like to thank Tracy and all of the people who've been working with her on building this relationship and making it happen, because we wouldn't be here without all of you. I'd also like to thank all of our partners for their input. Sally's just talked about City College. I'd like to talk about Homes England, because the work we have been doing for years and years, working on specific sites around the city, developing thousands of new homes for local people, that has helped us to build a relationship that leads to the big decisions like today, where we are going to be delivering so many new homes for local people not only across the city, but here in the city centre. As well as having, excuse me, the housing responsibility within Cabinet, the city centre is also within my ward, where we currently have about 500 to 600 permanent residents and a couple of thousand students. Wearing that ward councillor hat, and on behalf of my ward colleagues, Councillors Rainsford and Allison, I welcome this partnership, the investment, the vision, and this stamp of confidence in the future of our city centre. We're so pleased that this is about creating great places to live, to work, to study, and to relax. This is going to change the future of the residents of our ward, especially those who are currently studying, who are still to start school, or don't have the skills and qualifications to take better paying jobs. We look forward to welcoming thousands and thousands of new constituents over the coming years as a result of today's decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Penberthy, and over to you, Councillor Lowry.
Thank you. I will be brief because a lot has already been said, but I want to start back in 1874, if I may. That's when our municipal offices were on the site that we call the Civic Centre now, and they were there for many years, but during the Blitz in 1941, they were all somewhat removed, and from the 21 years afterwards, we had our civic buildings scattered across our city, and they were brought together in 1957. And the construction started the following year, and the total project cost then was £1.6 million. And the Civic was opened by Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II on the 26th of July 1962. So here we are, Richard, some 60 years on, and a once-in-a-generation opportunity to kickstart the regeneration of our city centre. And we've had a few false starts, it's fair to say. It's been a challenge to get to where we are, and you yourself have said, Councillor Lang, that it will be difficult moving forward. And as has already been explained, that the team we've assembled to take this project forward and the wider regeneration of the housing in the city centre is a very strong team. And I've got a lot of confidence in our collective ability to deliver exactly what we want to do. I'm just briefly, for those who don't always get the opportunity to read our reports and those online, just briefly going to set out what the programme and the timeline is going forward. So already underway is a pre-construction agreement with a main contractor. As of August 25, the complete strip-out works and then the completion of the structural investigations. December 25 will see us revise planning applications submitted. Between February 25 and November 26, Phase 1 works will be undertaken, which are the structural repairs, the removal of the cladding and repairs to the roof. November 26 to April 28, the main works, Phase 2 works, the new cladding, installation of all the services, and the repairs to the windows and roofs, etc. And hopefully in September 29, City College will be open for teaching. And just finally, we've heard iconic building, talismanic projects, catalysts for regeneration, all of which are true. But we've already started this journey over the last 4 years, in fact, and we've seen the regeneration of Old Town Street, New George Street. We're currently investing some £50 million in a city centre for Armada Way. That's already sending out a high degree of confidence amongst developers and shop owners in our city centre. And we're already seeing a number of people joining us on that journey and opening new shops and restaurants and so on and so forth. And finally, I just want to commit to keeping people informed, because there's a lot of people around here, but for once in a while, we'll be feeding back to both Cabinet and to the wider public our progress on this project. So once a quarter, we will bring back to Cabinet our progress and our commitment to this project. So I'd like to join what everybody else has equally said. Thank you for everyone's significant contribution. This has been really, really, really difficult to get us to where we've got to. But we couldn't ask for a better team. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lowry. And talking of couldn't have a better team, I wanted to open the floor up to the teams sat over there, if anybody wants to add any comments. David and Matt, start with you.
Thank you, Councillor Lang. Just very briefly, wanted to mention a couple of things. Today actually marks completion of my 6th year here at the council in this role. And I've seen a lot of positive change in that time. And I think the word that I would use to describe where we are now is one that the leader and Luke Pollard MP have already used, and that's momentum. And I think if you look at the amazing projects that are currently being delivered in and around Plymouth city centre, we've already seen £40 million of investment in our railway station, and now we have another £10 million of capital investment being delivered as part of our National Marine Park, £22 million being invested in sports and wellbeing facilities at Folsom Park in Devonport, and as Councillor Lowry's just mentioned, £50 million of public realm improvements across the city centre, £5 million being invested in our Guildhall to modernise it and refurbish it, and then a £34 million community diagnostic centre being built in the West End. And now, with this incredible partnership with Homes England, is allowing us to progress the transformation of our civic centre, and that's just the start. So I know from conversations that I've been having and transactions that have already been taking place recently that all of this momentum is having a positive impact, not just on Plymouth as a place to live and work, but also on people's perception of Plymouth as a city. And so now we're seeing that private investment in our city centre, which we simply weren't seeing 2 years ago. And so I've known for the last 6 years that there was something special going on in Plymouth. And with the announcements we're making today, I think everyone can see that. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt, and happy work anniversary, if that's a word. And here's to many more. David, do you want to say something?
Wrong one. Yeah, thank you, Jemima. So most people know that I started my career in the city centres back in 1995 as a store manager for M&S. And then I was the first city centre manager in Plymouth in 1999. So the city centre has always been in my DNA. And there are kind of two things when I was a retailer or I was a city centre manager that you had to have for successful cities. You had to have footfall, that was the blood, that was the lifeblood that every city had to have, but you also needed to be a destination. You had to be a place, a sense of community. So I think it's been said many times and the partnership, but I just want to talk about the civic specifically. I really believe it is both talismanic and catalytic in both of those spaces. And it is a symbol of confidence and a symbol of regeneration. It's visible. It tells the community we care. It's going to kickstart city living, something that we've had in the city centre, but not to the scale ambition. So it will prove it. With the homes and the college, it will drive footfall. But fundamentally, what it will start to do is create a new place, a new destination, a place that people will want to go, want to be in, and want to be around. And having seen some of this sort of developments that are done around the UK and visited them, I think this will be a tipping point moment, which we look back at in, on the programme in 4 years' time when we're finished, as the moment that things really change. So thank you for backing us as a team. And I should probably also say some thank yous. There's a large amount of people not in the room here today. In Matt's team, who've worked phenomenally hard on this. Sheila, who's the project manager, Chris, who's done a lot of the legal transactions, and to finally just close to pay tribute to our partners. Deals are done with people they trust and people they like, and it's been a joy to get to this point. So thank you, Jemima, that's great.
Okay, thank you, David. Joe, I didn't know if you wanted to come in here.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be very brief. The Chief Exec said pretty much everything I think we want to say for the agency. My boss is in the room, Neil Hook. He's been absolutely instrumental in getting us as a team to get to this point. So he passed on his apologies for not being here, but he really wanted to be. I've got a regional role. I cover the whole of the southwest, from Gloucester all the way down to the Isles of Scilly. So I've got the privilege of seeing what people are doing everywhere. And so I also come from a local authority background, so I just understand how hard it is to do this stuff, some patience, persistence, but focus and ambition and vision and all those things are here today. So I think really to sum it up, I'm just looking forward to getting something built and looking forward to it.
Thank you. Harry, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I'll be very brief. Just add 3 points. And I guess to start with Joe's point, I mean, we look across the country, so we can see a lot of similar things. And I guess these 3 points really speaks to the level of ambition, I think pride in the city and determination to drive forward partnerships. And I think there's been a lot said today about partnership working and how important that is. I think Eamon described this as an exemplar, the partnership between Homes England and the council. I think we certainly see that in the department. You know, it's really impressive. You know, there aren't many places like this outside of MCA areas, and that's obviously our ambition to drive that forward. The level of ambition to transform the city centre is really powerful, and that is a real signal of intent to the market. Delivering 10,000 homes in the city centre really is transformative and exciting for everyone to get behind. And then, as everyone said, the importance of this project, the Civic, as that beacon of change and catalytic project. So a really exciting day for the city.
Thank you very much. And Lorraine and Paul, I don't know if you want to add something before I bring Tracy in.
Yeah, I'd like to say, I think as part of the college, how proud we are to be part of this. As Jackie, just to echo what Jackie has said, I think we see the vibrancy our students exhibit every single day. I'm personally really excited to see those 2,000 students at the heart of the city. I think what that's going to do to the vibrancy of the city culture is going to be amazing. And to know that we'll be able to be part of that with all our colleagues is really a wonderful thing. So thank you for this opportunity and the wonderful collaboration, I think, that's got us to this part. So thank you.
And I'll just say thank you as well, because it is exciting times for the whole city and community that we all are here to support.
Thank you. And apologies, John McManus online. I didn't know if you would like to add a few words too.
Thanks, Chair. Sorry for joining in remotely. I think Harry's covered from the department. Just really encouraging to see the ambition and the partnership to deliver city centre regeneration. And as Tudor has seen over the last few months, really strong ministerial engagement and really strong ministerial support that we're looking to build upon. So I'll leave it there with that, if that's okay, Chair.
Of course, thank you very much. So Tracy, I'm going to hand over to you to round up.
Thank you very much. I think as people have said, days like this don't happen very often, but when they do, they're pretty momentous. But as you've heard, they don't just happen by accident. They happen from years of hard work. And I have to say, the team that's assembled for you, and Mark Lowry has mentioned, quite frankly, you'd have to kill them because you couldn't wound them because they get back up again. And that's been, you know, on the days when it's been tough, I think we've just dug deep, all of us together, and the strength of the relationships that we've developed. And they take time. They're not cosy relationships. They are relationships built on absolutely having the vision to want to move forwards. And those two big drivers that you've heard from, the driver which is about Growth Alliance Plymouth, you've heard about the massive opportunity that we have as a place. But it's not just an opportunity, it's a need. It's a need that's driven from the defence of the realm. So such an important driver for us. And the second driver has been something that towns and cities across the UK have been grappling with. And Matt's alluded to it, which is how do you reinvent city and town centres? What does that look like? And as a council, we have really taken the bull by the horns in doing that. And if you think about the track record so far in doing that, when we think about Brettonside and we now think the barcode, but remember back to the dark days of having a bus station in Brettonside. Some of us, you know, we have a moment when we think about that. You know, that start of the big changes where we moved the bus station, the rail station, moving the gates at the rail station so that actually now you can get in and out through those barriers onto the forecourt and so on, and the ambition that's been delivered by the University of Plymouth for their health hub at the railway station. So we have really moved forward with how do you reinvent town and city centres through transport. We have done it through culture with the box. We've done it through leisure with the barcode. We are doing it through health interventions with the Community Diagnostic Centre. We are doing it through £50 million of public realm investment. And I remember the early days of the conversations, both with Harry, with John, with Homes England was very much around showing them a picture, which was we can't do any more except we need to do housing. It was the missing piece of the jigsaw puzzle, and that fact that cities of our size should have really much more people living in the city centre, and very much that strength of ambition to make that a reality. And we've got lots of work to do. The master planning, the public engagement around what that will look like, what that would feel like, really listening to people. But you've heard regeneration mentioned this afternoon, but most importantly, you've heard transformation mentioned this afternoon. Regeneration very much is the individual sites. When we bring them all together and we make this big programme of change and intervention, which is the next stage of our journey, that is truly transformational for us as a place. And there will be some rocky roads ahead. Just having the making sure that we are getting into that delivery. None of that's easy, as we've all heard, but actually the sense of pride, the sense of ambition, the sense of drive to make that a reality. I couldn't ask for better partners, so thank you to everybody.
Thank you. Well, I don't know what there's left for me to say, really, except this is the very definition of a joint endeavour. It takes bravery, it takes vision. As you said, it doesn't happen by accident. And from a personal point of view, I mean, I couldn't be prouder to be chairing this cabinet. You know, people ask you all the time, why would you be a councillor? Why do you want to be a councillor? And there are a million reasons, small reasons, and then absolutely, you know, monumental reasons like this. To press the button on this extraordinarily bright future for this city that we all care about so much. And as Harry said, there's not many places like Plymouth. So, having considered all of the information, including the information at item 16, I propose we move to the recommendations which are on supplement pack 2, page 1 to 2. I wasn't going to read them out because they're fairly lengthy, but they speak to the enormity of what we're doing today. So, can I have a show of hands? Thank you very much. Look, I'm not sure if this is convention or not, but you know, I'm going to use my yes. I think we should. My privilege is, you know, the rare time I get to chair. Thank you so much to everybody. We look forward to the updates coming back on progress, but thank you so much to everybody who's been here today in person and given their time to us online. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we move on to item 7, which is the Adult Social Care Improvement Journey report, which is in your supplement pack. And Councillor Mary Aspinall will wait for, there's a little bit of chair rearranging and people coming in and out, so give us a moment. Yeah. Welcome, welcome. We'll just give you a couple of minutes to all get seated and finish the game of musical chairs. Okay, can I hand over to you then, Councillor Aspinall, to introduce this item?
Thank you very much indeed, Chair. Providing care and support to the people in Plymouth who need our help is fundamental to this council and to what motivates us every day. Since April 2024, Adult Social Care has worked with over 13,000 people. This is in a broad range of ways, through assessing people's physical and mental health needs, providing day services, ensuring people are kept safe through our safeguarding processes, providing care in people's homes and in residential and nursing care provisions. Alongside this, we aim to support the people who care for others, whether it is as a social worker, occupational therapist, paid staff member in a care home or supported living situation, or for the thousands of people who care for a loved one at home every single day. To do this, we need to be confident we are getting the basics right, communicating well, planning well, and planning together with people and making sure we adapt as their lives and their needs change. We have high aspirations for adult social care in delivering the right care at the right time in the right place. We talk a lot in adult social care about wanting to help people to lead glorious, ordinary lives, to live the lives they want to in the places they want to be in, and to be with the people they want to love. I'd like to introduce Gary Walbridge, Strategic Director for Adults and Health and Communities, who's our Director of Adult Social Care. Gary and the team from the council and our partners from LiveWell Southwest will talk about how we will be tested on we will deliver adult social care, the work we have done so far and what we plan to do soon. And I thank the LGA for coming along and giving us a taste of what the examination of the CQC in the future will be like. It was so, so useful. Gary.
Thank you, Councillor Aspinall. Thank you, Chair. Just a few points of introduction for me before the team talk to you. It was back in the end of, it was about September 2023 when CQC started their formal inspections, bringing local authority services back into the inspection regime. And their aim is through the 2 years from there to have done a first inspection for all local authorities that provide social care, and that there's about 150 of those. Now, if we move through the slides, there's a few points I wanted to make on the first few slides that are in your pack, but the approach in Plymouth, like many, was to first undertake a self-assessment against that CQC framework to help us understand the things we liked about what we did, but also some of those things that we perhaps knew we had to do more work on and we didn't like within our system. And we did that, and we created for ourselves an improvement plan to go on to help improve the services that we have for people. The next step of that, as Mary has alluded to, was we wanted to invite and get some external validation. So that's our partners from the Local Government Association who've come down to give us our peer review. And we're here today really to share the key learning and feedback from that with you around that work. So if we keep moving through the slides, just to give you, and I'm not going to talk in detail for this, but I think it was really important for us just to understand the huge amounts of work that go on in our city, helping to support some of those people who need us. So we just put some information into your pack for that. And if we keep on moving through, one of the really important parts of our system, and it actually is one of our Care Act duties, promoting integration of care and support with health services. So Plymouth took that seriously, and in 2015, when the Care Act came in, Plymouth took that step to integrate all of its assessment functions with LiveWell Southwest. That's why we welcome Michelle, Chief Executive from there, and Jeff, Deputy Chief Executive, and Andy from LiveWell Southwest today, because we do what we do in adult social care in partnership and together, and we felt it was really important to show that today in terms of the feedback. So we welcome them to us. If we keep moving through, the last thing I really want to say before I hand over to the team was a little bit about our self-assessment. And if we move into the next slides, I'm not going to take you through them, but what we tried to do is show you some of the things in our self-assessment we've said we do really well, and some of the things that we need to focus on. And I was just going to pick an example of both. So, for example, in our areas of strength, integrated approaches to hospital discharges, which has been really key for us over over the last few years. At the moment, we are second best in the whole of the Southwest currently in terms of our discharge performance. That's something we're really, really proud of. What's really good about that is that whilst we've been able to get to that position, we've also been able to increase the numbers of people who go directly home in a supported home. And what that does is improve the outcomes of the people of this city. So that's one of those things, for example, that we're really proud of. And you can only do that by working in partnership. But if we move through to some of the areas of focus, again, we know that there are some people in our system that have to wait too long for their assessments and reviews. And that's one of the areas that the teams are working really, really hard on. So whilst there are good successes in the things that we do in this city, there are also areas that we really need to get determined on to drive forward. So I'd like really now, if I can, after that introduction, just hand over to the team. And I think Stephen's going to lead us off to tell you more about what the LGA have told us about our work.
Thank you, Gary. So I'm Stephen B, Service Director for Adult Social Care. Just before we talk about the LGA peer review, Gary and Councillor Aspinall talked about CQC inspections of local authorities, which have been started just over a year ago. And we will get a rating, and we will get a rating number out of 100 and a rating similar to other inspections, outstanding, good, requires improvement, or inadequate. CQC are about halfway through reviewing every local authority adult social care department in the country, and we're looking at the reports which have been published so far to see what types of feedback are coming through and what themes. Plymouth received a notification in January that we will be receiving our assessment, and we've undertaken our information return. And now we're in a period where we're waiting for them to give us notice of the actual date of the on-site visit. We will get 6 to 8 weeks notice. So we're thinking it will be likely to be around June this year. In terms of the LGA, they came to undertake their peer review in January. They provided a team of about 7 people who work in the field of adult social care, very experienced, including a director, a cabinet member for adult social care from another local authority. They operated it very much in the same way that CQC will undertake their assessment. So we shared with them about 300 different documents which they asked for, which they had in advance. They had 10 case file audits, and then they came down for a site visit, mostly in the office, but they did go out and visit some services, and they undertook 40 meetings with over 180 different staff members or people from partner organisations. So it was a very thorough process, and our staff and our teams really enjoyed the opportunity to talk about the work that they do. What we found out, the key messages, and we'll go into more detail, is that we know ourselves well, both in relation to our strength and our areas of improvement. All the areas that they focused on were things that we knew and are already working on. They did identify areas where we can go further and faster in making progress, which we're now doing. And we're just going to share some of those details. So I'm going to hand over to Michelle.
That happened far faster than it did in practice. Sorry. So thank you. So I'm not going to read through the slides because you have those, but it was really pleasing to hear from the LGA, and they highlighted how passionate and positive our staff are about supporting the people of Plymouth, but also how our retention rates are so good, and consequently our vacancies are very low, and this is not the picture nationally. But despite this, the review suggested some staff interviewed had concerns regarding capacity and what they could do, and this sort of links to some of the challenges with waiting times. So we're always reviewing individual workloads to ensure consistency across the workplace, but this sort of reflects on everyone's concerns around the amount of demand there is. But we are aware that PCC are exploring what regional data is available to support benchmarking conversations. We've also been making inquiries through our contacts and our local authority neighbours to consider what our closest comparisons may be. Through our joint principal social worker. So we've got a principal social worker who's employed across both organisations, and she has those links outside. Next slide, please. And from a Live Well point of view, we're looking at our new strategy and really having a focus on more integration and closer collaboration with wellbeing hubs, primary care, family hubs, and delivering that whole family offer across all of our services. And Live Well staff also have access to Care Act training. That needs is identified through individual supervision, so as for our registered social workers. And it's also the responsibility of our staff to maintain their registration by the evidence of continual professional development. We've also rolled out Care Act training to our healthcare teams as well, through our shared skills approach. So really recognising that actually there's some shared skills across both parts of our organisation. We shared with the LGA that we recognise the benefits of integration, but we felt that they would hear more positive stories from some teams rather than others. And an example would be our community crisis response team, who've been working for many years together, and they work in a highly integrated way. And some of the other teams perhaps have had less experience in working in that way at this moment in time. The review team were highly impressed with the team's enthusiasm and the ability to work, and also to carry out those shared skills from a health point of view. And it would be remiss of me if I didn't tell you that Ian Lightley, who's our coup, wanted you to know that by sharing our skills, one of our social workers actually led to a life-saving intervention because they learned basic levels of healthcare assessments too. So Live Well and PCC senior managers regularly attend joint briefings to staff from both organisations. And we're committed to communicating our joint vision as we develop further. But I think importantly as well, co-production. We have a co-production team who are involved in all aspects of this work, and we'll be working closely with PCC to ensure that the people who use our services are involved in helping to ensure that our integrated model is informed by the people who have that lived experience and the most experience in the services we provide. I'm going to hand over to you now, Jeff.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Jeff Baines. I'm the Deputy Chief Executive and Director for Quality and Safety at Live Well, also a practising and qualified social worker. So, you know, over the 10 years or so that we've all been working together between Live Well and Plymouth City Council, those boundaries erode more and more and more, and we all feel we're the same team, although we're representing Live Well here today. So I think, again, the real value, I mean, I welcome the CQC inspection process nationally. It's the first time, as you're probably aware, that scrutiny has been around this really important area, supporting vulnerable people. So it's really welcome for us, and the feedback that we're getting is excellent because it's happening all over the country, so everybody's getting the same way. And I think the two sort of main areas in the slide pack that we are recognising are areas for improvement based on the feedback. One's around social work practice, and with our recently newly appointed principal social worker working across Live Well and Plymouth City Council, that's given us a great opportunity to review our practice, and that's been supported by a real close look at caseload auditing throughout the year. And in fact, only a couple of weeks ago, on the 18th, we celebrated World Social Work Day and led across the council and Live Well, a really good event, really celebrating and promoting good practice and people feeling proud of social work, which is a really important element. So as well as that, one of the things we've picked up is around the equality and diversity recording and being able to adapt practice accordingly based on very specific needs across the city. And we've identified about working across the council and local and Live Well, the systems we've got for recording ethnicity and so on. And so we've identified ways of making improvements across that, across both agencies, which will put us in a really strong position. And we've also, fortunately, for some time, Live Well have been delivering the asylum seekers service, so specialist health services to asylum seekers in the city. So, which has a social worker embedded within it, very familiar with equality and diversity issues as well. So that sort of skill can be spread across both our agencies, so we can be looking at that. The other one, and probably I imagine one of the things you're most interested in, being about the waiting times commentary and slides. So, and after I've spoken, there's going to be some data at the end of the slide pack that colleagues will refer to. But I think what's important to recognise is the team are looking at new referrals coming in, new Care Act assessments to undertake, and also reviewing people who are in receipt of support as a result of care assessments. It's the same team, and we've also, over the years, responding to COVID, Gary mentioned earlier on about the high performance on discharging people from hospitals. So it's all the same teams. So it's about where we're directing and putting our resources. And but one of the most important things is where there are people waiting, we've introduced a waiting well policy. So we can identify all the people who are waiting, focusing on their level of priority, giving them good information about other support services that are available while they're waiting, and also ways of escalating if their needs have changed so that they can need extra support and higher priority. So that's actually been introduced now, so that wasn't at the time of the LGA peer review, but that was work ongoing at that time. But we've now got that in place, and we anticipate that will continue to support people well. And I think when you see with the slides some of the data that colleagues will refer to in a minute, we'll see over the last 12 months a reduction in 50% actually of people waiting, and an improvement in 50% of people being seen, or just under, of people being seen within the year having their review undertaken. So all of that, we're not in a position where we're out of control and it's going the wrong direction. The improvements are going in the right direction, and the pace of change we're working on very closely. So hopefully that will give you some assurance that those things are underway, and colleagues will show some of the data in a minute. And I think I'm passing back over to Emma.
So I'm Service Director for Integrated Commissioning for the Council, and I was really pleased with the feedback about our commissioning arrangements. We know our commission providers in the city across a range of care and support providers work really hard to try and keep people safe for us and look after them well, and with a real heart at the sort of base of that. And the peer reviewers agreed. So they met with some of our commission providers from care homes, from supported living, and our VCSE partners. We feel we've got a good trusting and open relationship with them, and they said the same, which was fantastic. So they talked about mutual respect, they talked about trust, they talked about the fact they feel valued by us and supported. They also said they felt our services here are safe, effective and affordable, which is obviously a good balance to have, and that we have a good range of choice here for people who need our support. They could see our commitment to co-production in the service, which is growing and becoming more embedded. But they could also see that we could do more in terms of preventative services for people and helping them to stay in their own homes and not needing to go anywhere near an acute hospital as part of their journey. So we know that we have some gaps, particularly around more specialist care provision for people with much more complex challenges in their lives. And we know we need more choices about short breaks and respite to give people who are caring and cared for quality breaks to enable them to continue with their lives. And this last slide about the peer review feedback is really lovely. They met with, as I said, a group of our VCSE partners, and they were so impressed by our partners in the city. They could see that our partners have real ambition, are really professional, very skilled, really interested in helping to design the future with us. And they could see real collaboration from a number of our partners who are named there. So Improving Lives Plymouth, Age UK, Plus and Elder Tree amongst the group there. They could see good relationships, strong relationships with adult social care. They could also see we could be doing more to work with our VCSE partners, particularly around our wellbeing hubs, which they thought were excellent. And they thought we could do more to reach out into communities through our wellbeing hubs. They could also see a real culture where people could share their experiences and feel heard and help to be part of designing what we need going forward. And they also recognise our safeguarding partnership, our multi-agency safeguarding partnership for adults. They could see how all the partners work together to really drive safeguarding forward in the city. So the message from the peer review is we need to do more. We need to do more with our partners, work more closely together, be brave, innovate together, because their sense was that very much the grassroots are there to do that. So what this told us was around our revised improvement plan priorities and things we needed to go further and faster on over the next few months and years. So we need to have more clarity around our adult social care vision and strategy and make sure our workforce all the way through understands it and engage with that and part of that process. We need to have more visible leadership and communication through every level of both organisations to really get out to frontline social care teams and make sure that they are fully involved in the conversations and feel really part of the improvement drive. Jeff's already talked about waiting well, but to really embed that in our system to make sure that everybody who's waiting for something knows how long they will wait and what that will feel like for them, and they feel well communicated with, and that our practitioners understand what that means from their perspective as well. There's a priority for us around occupational therapy, making sure that the work that our occupational therapists do in delivering Care Act duties is visible, well understood, and we can see exactly where the performance lies. We've already touched on the practice model, making sure that that is really clear, well understood, embedded, and again, practitioners feel part of that drive to improve. And equality, diversity and inclusion, really, that's a real cross-cutting theme across adult social care across the country at the minute. We need to make sure we are demonstrating we understand our population really well, particularly those who may be disadvantaged. And I'm going to hand to Andy to talk about waiting lists.
Thank you, Emma. So my name is Andy Williams. I'm the organisational lead for adult social care within Live Well. The slides that you're seeing at the moment, the last two of the slides here for me to talk to, are excerpts of our governance system. So with adult social care being delivered within Live Well South West, but the responsibility sitting with the local authority, we have some really tight governance systems set around to ensure that what we're doing is done in the right way and moving in the right direction. And as you'll see from these slides, whilst I'll point out that the parts that we've got that are red at the end there, these are because we put movable targets on. So, if you look at the graph on the bottom left-hand side, you'll see that you're at a period of time, and I can't quite make out the date there, but April 24, you'll see that we were at 926 overdue unallocated assessments, and that this number has steadily and consistently come down over the period of time to where we are at the moment, which is about 402 assessments now. Each month when we discuss governance and performance, if it looks like we're moving in the right direction, we'll move the target to ensure that we continue to improve in those particular areas. We can see clear improvements here that should acknowledge that whilst there are no statutory timeframes in which to measure ourselves against, we've elected to go towards a gold standard, which is 28 days. So it will be a very difficult target to achieve, but it's what we're aiming for. And the projection that we have with our reds there, the 183 target and the 85% within 28 days should help us to achieve that. It is important to note that 85% of our assessments, or nearly 83% of our assessments, are currently assessed within 28 days of that assessment being allocated to a worker, which is a really good performance metric. In terms of the numbers completed, it's a little bit arbitrary, but at the moment you're 197, so we've got a variable there between 200, approximately 200 per month. The reason I say arbitrary is because obviously as we start gaining towards that area where we're assessing everybody within 28 days, it will essentially be the amount that we have that come in that month would be our target. The next slide. So reviews, again, they don't have a statutory time frame, so we've adopted what we believe is the widely accepted within 12 months, but just talking from a layman's perspective, need may change sooner or may change later. Some people will be relatively comfortable and safe with a package of care, but 12 months is an organisational sort of standard. The chart here demonstrates the volume of work that we've engaged with, and you can see again from the timeframes for review that inside a year we're on a steady increase, which will increase as we get closer to our target number. But also important again to note that the number of reviews that we had back in October 23 being over 1,300 to where we are at the moment, approximately 346. That's a significant amount of work that we've managed to get through. Similar to assessments, we've opted to adopt targets that support the continued drive for excellence in social care. And again, the targets that we see there, whilst the red in figure, last month they were green because we met our targets, and therefore we agreed that we would put an additional target in there to keep that momentum of improvement up. And the graph itself and the numbers speak for themselves in terms of what we're doing to achieve that there. Anecdotally, just because it wouldn't be me if I didn't ad-lib a little bit, just as far as the context of this goes, it is worth noting that this performance off the back of COVID, where as an area, Plymouth, the local authority, Live Well, we stepped down a lot of services and we redirected our workforce to respond to the needs of the people locally. And there's always a period of recovery that are required after actions like this. And I think to be in the position that we are today and to be able to say that we're continuing to improve is something that I feel immensely proud of. That is pretty much my slides.
That's it for the slides.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mary, did you want to come back in?
Can I say that a lot of these slides, particularly the graphs, etc., are viewed by the health and wellbeing scrutiny each time they meet to see what's happening. And I think I'm really pleased with the way just this last month things have settled down. And one of those things that I do wonder is we keep mentioning the Care Act 2014. I'm not totally sure that there are that many councillors that know what the Care Act 2014 is. So, Chair, I'm going to ask you if we could put an extra condition on this report. But one of the things is I do wonder, Jamie, whether we get something organised for councillors, at least with no elections this year. It makes life a little bit easier, but I do think we perhaps need some sort of presentation about what the Care Act 2014 is, because although when the CQC come, there are certain people they will talk to, you just don't know if somebody's going to meet them walking through the council house or whatever, so it might be quite useful. I think there are certain things that I worry about, and I know probably nobody else perhaps is quite so worried about, because it's particularly a phraseology. The lead LGA talked about a lead OT, whereas we have, or a principal OT, I think we have slightly different phraseology, and it would be quite useful to get that smoothed out so that we know the job description is the same for both, so that nobody can be pernickety about it. But I would also like to add a recommendation that we ask for the action plan to be brought back to Cabinet again for our next meeting, which I presume will be about a month's time, because I think it's something that we need to monitor. It's a lot of hard work to keep this adult social care functioning really, really well. And I think the LGA have given us some good insights, and it would be foolhardy to lose sight of those. That's not to say I don't think we're doing them, but I think all of us might sleep a little bit better if we've got those facts in front of us. I mean, Jemima, you came to meet with the inspectors, with the LGA inspectors, and that they were really very positive about the political leadership, etc., which I think is great. So I think we just need to keep that momentum going.
Thank you. I think it's really encouraging that it talks quite clearly that we know ourselves well, and if I've learned anything about during my involvement with local government, that is the absolute foundation for any improvements that you need to make. So thank you all very much for being here today, and we'll look forward to the action plan coming back to the next Cabinet. Oh, sorry, Councillor Dan.
Sorry, as you've actually got Live Well in the room, can I ask a question? Well, I mean, it's really good to see that the waiting times and the change of circumstance reviews were on a downward or upward trajectory, depending which one we're looking at. But it was just something about, you said something about collaboration and sharing good practice. And I don't know the answer to this question, but I mean, we've had a lot of work done in children's services about looking at caseloads, looking at caseload auditing, looking at social work practices. So my question was that in some ways, I know it's a very, very different cohort and age group of people, but I just wanted to see if we were doing some of that really good sharing from the investment that we've done through being an improvement board within children's services social care into adult social care, so that when the CQC do come, they can see that, you know, we work in collaboration and partnership as a city. And yeah.
Everyone's leaning away from me, so I
No,
expect
no,
this.
no, just-
Jeff, did you want to respond first?
Well, only, I mean, it's a really good question, Councillor, and I think there are advantages of having our partnership, which are even wider than that, actually. So I think learning and best practice is great. The fact that this programme is happening across the country means that we're also got our eyes peeled on all the learning coming out of all the other areas that we can pull in. There is definitely learning from the children's experience. And in fact, even prior to this, over the last 18 months or so, with Gary and other colleagues, we've been looking at not only the learning from children's services, but the learning from LiveWell's other regulated services. So as a regulated provider, we've had to be regulated and inspected by CQC, and proud to say that all of our services are either good or outstanding overall. And all of that's learning, it's all exactly the same. So the Waiting Well initiative, for example, isn't specifically or solely for adult social care. It's something we're rolling across all of our services, whether it's district nursing or whatever it is. So there's lots of learning. And we've got a team approach with our colleagues in local authority, and Stephen Beat as well leading for us, about sharing all of that information. So I think you're absolutely right, it's exactly the right thing to do. But fortunately, we've had that experience from a range of different areas, so we're able to bring all that together. I think that puts us in actually a very good position to be prepared for the inspection. So, but yeah, absolutely right, we need to take that on board as well from children.
Thank you. You got a supplementary? You're happy with the answer?
Yeah, that's fine.
Lovely. Thank you, Emma.
Just to say that there's two very specific areas where the world touch. So carers, young carers, and also transitions. So there's some really good ongoing pieces of work between the services that work really well. And also we have linked colleagues who have got experience of Ofsted inspections with the teams at LiveWell and in adult social care, because it's, as anyone who's lived through an inspection knows, there's tricks of the trade, aren't there, and the things you can do to prepare and to make sure that people are prepared and to show Plymouth to best advantage. So those connections are very much there.
Thank you. Councillor Dan.
Well, no, because I'm just thinking there that part of the way that the councillors work is look at prevention. So having the children's and the family hubs and the health and wellbeing hubs, have they helped with the gateway entrance? Has that had any impact?
I think difficult to quantify at the minute, but that's certainly something we want to do. And we were talking last week that LiveWell are looking to come out into the wellbeing hubs to have social workers on site to trial new ways of working like that. Similarly, LiveWell deliver work into the family hubs already quite significantly for children's services. So all the sort of links and grassroots are there. We just need to, as the peer reviewer said, make more of that and really link as best we possibly can, because they could see brilliant ideas and innovation out there for us to go and reach and take advantage of. That sounds awful, but to maximise for the city.
And there was a reason for asking that question, because with the opening of the Health and Wellbeing Hub at Fulston Park, you've got an absolute prime opportunity there in a purpose-built, community-based organisation with lots of partners all working together. So there was reason for that.
Andy.
Yeah, just for some additional assurance. So we have literally been talking about this last week and the previous weeks. We're planning on having a social care therapist and physio presence at Folkestone Park. That should, the plan is to include drop-in centres for people to be able to access. So, when we look at the feedback from the LGA and they say, well, what are the demographics? What are your EDA thoughts about how you provide your services? Well, this makes it accessible for the people within those areas. And Folkestone Park will be one of the first areas that we look at doing this, but obviously there are a number of wellbeing centres throughout Plymouth. We have, in a very light touch way, been doing similar. It's Whitley at the Four Greens, I believe it's called. So there's been a front door presence there from an adult social care perspective. And my final point would be is that, through myself and Stephen especially, but others, we attend the majority of the centre improvement plans. So we're able to take learning from those as we go. I'm actually a little bit late for one at the moment. But any learning that we see in terms of how things are delivered to families within communities, any learning that there is that's appropriate, we are a sponge for looking at better ways of doing things. Thank you.
Michelle, did you want to come in?
Just quickly, just say that really around the new strategy and around how we are working with our primary care colleagues, and they're not in very neat geographies across Plymouth, but actually we're making sure as part of it, it's not just health and social care workers and GPs, it's health, social care workers, GPs, health and wellbeing centres, health and wellbeing workers and family hubs as well. So taking full advantage of it all rather than, because it can feel like you're going down a health route or a social care route, but actually pulling, and I'm determined, before I get any greyer, that actually that's where, it's not going to be that silo way of working, that actually this is about families, and most people are members of families, and there will be young people, there'll be old people, there'll be people with different issues, and I think that we've got all the ingredients to make the right model, but actually just seeing those health and wellbeing hubs and children's hubs just really takes, smooths the edges and makes it a really positive way forward. And Jeff is actually our poster boy for Folkestone House as well. He was there having his blood pressure taken in all of the features.
It was fine, my blood pressure, just so.
Okay. No, got another question? No, okay. I'm thinking of blood pressure because we really are over time. Thank you very much, and you can get to your meeting in a minute. We've got one recommendation to note the report, but obviously we also have Mary's additional recommendation. So are we happy to agree those two recommendations? Lovely. Thank you very much. And we're now going to move to item 8 with a little bit of chair shuffling, which is the new shareholder to join DELT Shared Services. I think I'm handing over to you, Councillor Dan, first, and Pete Honeywell is joining us. Over to you, Councillor Dan.
With the please, this will be very brief, so we can catch up on a little bit of time because the actual report is only 2 pages long, so my introduction is equally short. We are really, really happy that North Somerset have requested to join DELT as a fellow shareholder. We have been working with North Somerset Council for quite a while through DELT, and also as politicians and as councillors, we've made sure that we understand the values of North Somerset Council, what they want to actually achieve, and also the benefits of expanding DELT. North Somerset have realised that by using DELT, there's a unique blend of both private and public sector skills. And that's really important when you're looking at a service that enables councils to be able to work, to really understand the environment in which we work. We know that it's not always easy when you're looking at bringing shareholders into a company, but it is a massive investment in DELT. I mean, it's £7 million a year. The contract is worth £70 million over the life of the contract. And that's a really, if you look at the fact that DELT have also had us renewing our contract with DELT and the ICB, it really puts DELT, which is, a family-owned, if you like, business from all the councils in a really, really good spot. So this is just to approve really that North Somerset Council becomes a shareholder of Doubt. And can I just hand over to Councillor Lowry as well, as this is a joint venture literally?
And I'm really pleased to be part of this because I won't go back as far as 1874, but we will go back to 2004, and we set up Doubt in the City Council because, you know what, we weren't being served well by our IT departments across the country. We were employing a lot of people from remote venues who were costing us a lot of money and sending us great big bills to cover. And we didn't have any employment down here because of that. So we set Doubt up just to create our own IT division in the Southwest, providing regionally employment and opportunity for people. And as Councillor Dan's explained, you know, we've already tripled our income in respect to Doubt bringing additional work through the commercialisation element of what they do. And as Sue said, you know, another £17 million over 10 years. So those will create more jobs, predominantly in North Somerset, of course, where they'll be working and supporting that council, but it'll also create jobs across the region and provide some stability and opportunity for people who live and work down here. So it's great news for Doubt. You know, they've brought in a principal new shareholder who forms part of Doubt. So it's the aspiration we always had for it, and I hope this is a further catalyst for it to grow more so. I mean, councils are very protective of all their little departments, and nobody wants to give anything up. You know, I've noticed that over the years. And here's North Somerset joining us and becoming an equal player in taking forward this company. So it's great news, and I'm very happy to support the recommendations and thank everybody for their hard work.
Thank you. Pete, did you want to add anything?
I don't really think there's anything more to say. I would just concur. This is, I think, really good news. It's what we set Doubt up for in 2014, as Councillor Larry has just said, and you know the decisions are pretty clear.
Thank you. Well, so yes, so we're going to welcome North Somerset Council, and we're doing this because Plymouth City Council is a founder shareholder in Doubt, and so therefore we have to approve any request for a new shareholder to join the company. So there's two recommendations on this report on page 21. Do we all agree? We're all in agreement? Great, lovely. Thank you. Thank you, Pete, for joining us. Okay, so now we are moving to item 9, which is bereavement services operating arrangements. And I'm going to hand over to Councillor Sally Hayden, who will introduce the report, and David Northey is also going to talk to this report.
Thank you, Chair. This is more of a technical financial report. So shortly, I'm quite happy to hand it over to my colleague, Councillor Larry, to talk through those points. Never been very good with money, Chair. As you know, the Council has recently constructed a new crematorium and a wake and a cafe facility, The Park, which has been operating since October 24. I am pleased that following my updates and reports on the success of this new facility, I'm able to confirm today that the service will continue to be run in-house. This is very helpful for a continuity point of view and means that there will be no change of any asks of the staff. And I'm pleased that we'll hopefully be able to make some recommendations today. So with your consent, Chair, I would quite happily hand over to Councillor Larry, who can go more into the financial part of it, if that's okay.
Thank you. Councillor Larry, over to you.
Sally, you'd be pleased on this occasion to know this is not particularly finance related. I mean, I know we started this journey, but this is one of those very weird reports where it's more about what we're not doing as opposed to what we are doing. And when we started on our journey of building a new crematorium, we had to look at the nature of the company that we wrapped around that. And one of our ideas at the time was a charitable entity that would take on all the crematorium's cost and charging mechanism. And we've since reviewed that, we've got legal advice, and we've assured ourselves that the approach that we're taking in respect to the recommendations to carry on as we are is above board and one that fits the council well. So I'm just happy to say that recommendations speak for themselves and we just basically carry on as we are. The reason we had this recommendation is because we as a cabinet put one in place back in October 2019 because we were forcing a conclusion as to this exercise. So now we've got an answer, we can carry on as we are. Thank you, Chair.
So nobody has anything else to add? Councillor Hayden, are you happy if we move to the recommendation?
I'm quite happy if we move to the recommendations, please. See, yeah.
Thank you, including the one that outlines that we will be keeping the service in-house. So there's 3 recommendations on page 28. All those in agreement? Lovely. Thank you very much. So now we are going to move to item 10, which is Audit and Governance Chair's report. And I welcome Councillor Sarah Allen, who is Chair of the Audit and Governance Committee, to introduce the report. Thank you very much for joining us today, Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Chair.
We could move to item 11 and come back. Would that be helpful?
That's fine. I've got the report in front of me. So, yes. So, obviously, the benefits you can see on the report of operating an effective audit and governance committee are listed in the bullet points at the start of the report. During the past year, 2024 to 25, we've held 7 meetings, which is more than usual because we've had some unusual events, including things like the audit backstop, the boundary review, the electoral cycle review. We received an update on the role of an audit member. This was presented by Paul Dossett from Grant Thornton. We've received and considered a substantial number of reports across key areas of the Council's activity. It's been an unprecedented year, having 5 sets of statements of accounts to approve from 2019 to 20, right through to 2023 to 24. And we have complied with the national audit backstop, which was implemented to clear the rising backlog of unaudited accounts and auditor opinions. We've had verbal updates from the Section 151 officer on the updates with the capitalisation direction, and this dates back to the financial transaction that was made in October 2019. I've mentioned already the consultation that was a public consultation regarding the electoral cycle, where that was about considering whether to move to a 4-year all-out election cycle, but we retained the current system of thirds. We've also been asked to undertake self-assessment. So Ross Jago, who's the head of governance, performance and risk, has implemented that because it's agreed that it's good practice for us to, as an audit and governance committee, to self-assess annually. There was a desire to increase the response rate that was undertaken in the previous year, and also there's been new advice and guidance issued by CIPFA, the Chartered Institute for Public Finance and Accountancy, on self-assessments. We've also, the list of bullet points shows the recommendations that have been discussed and approved at audit and governance throughout the year. And as a result, the Council has received reasonable assurance that the system of internal control is operating effectively. Changes to the Constitution have been considered by Audit and Governance Committee following a full review by the working group, which has resulted in significant revisions to the Constitution, including the establishment of a Standards Committee, updated petition scheme and amendments to procedures, bringing the Council in line with national best practice. So, any questions I'm happy to take. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Allen. Any questions? Councillor Larry.
I go to audit and governance from time to time, and over the past 20 years, I've never known an audit and governance committee do so much work as it's been recently undertaken by that team. Councillor Allen referred to that 5 sets of accounts being undertaken. Each of the reports that you see listed there are primarily reports that myself and David sign off before they go to there. They in themselves are lengthy reports and are very important reports that give people the confidence that this city is being managed financially in an open and transparent manner. And I just want to really pass on my thanks on probably on behalf of all of us, really, that you have had a very challenging year. I'm sorry to say next year is going to also have some challenges before we get back to some normality, hopefully. But each member of the committee has contributed incredibly hard and well over the past 12 months, and we ought to pass on our thanks to them for their contribution.
Thank you. Yes, well, you've stolen what I've written here, but you've outlined that you've got through a significant volume of work this year, and I second the thanks for all the work that you and the committee have done this municipal year. And thank you very much for coming here today and bringing the report before, I think, then it goes to full council. So the recommendation on page 33 is that we note the report. So all those in favour? Thank you. And thank you very much for being here today. I only suggested going to item 11 because I thought you were having IT problems, because we haven't had any so far today and there was so much potential. And yeah, thank you. Thanks very much. So item 11 on the agenda, I'm introducing this report, which is the Corporate Parenting Annual Report, which I'm delighted to commend to you. It's the 2023-24 report. The Corporate Parenting Board, which I'm so proud to chair, has demonstrated continuing commitment to improving outcomes for our children and young people in care and care-experienced young people. Our key partners across Plymouth have continued to listen to the voice of our care-experienced young people and scrutinised and improved local arrangements to improve children and young people's life chances and outcomes. And this has included work on children's physical health needs, mental health support, and support to engage and achieve in education, employment and training. The Corporate Parenting Board has been supported in this by the Corporate Parenting Operational Managers Group, which put in place a stronger partnership plan and stronger local arrangements following the Ofsted inspection in January 2024, to build on the positives which have been identified in the inspection and further improve in key areas, including support for asylum-seeking young people and improving accommodation options. There's always more to do, and during 24-25, the Corporate Parenting Board has continued to have close oversight of health and education arrangements for our children in care and care-experienced young people, including the critical work of our family homes for Plymouth children work, which has been here at this cabinet a number of times during this municipal year. It's really focused on ensuring that more children in care have access to family homes. So thank you very much for being here, Amanda. I hand over to you if there's anything further you want to say on this report before I ask if anyone's got any questions.
Thank you so much. Nothing other than to be delighted to join you as a proud pushy parent. As much for my own too as the over 500 we have in Plymouth. So it's lovely to be part of this partnership and to hear all the great work we're doing for children. And I do see real improvements from when I was doing some slip work some time ago with Plymouth. So thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. So the recommendation, which is on page 39, is to note the achievements highlighted in the annual report. Does anybody? No? Does everybody agree with that? Yes, thank you very much. All in favour. Great. Okay, so now as Councillor Evans isn't here, obviously I'm going to do his leaders' announcements. Starting with after the launch of the economic strategy, the Port Plan and the Creative Industries Plan, and now Homes England and the Civic today, You may be forgiven for thinking that there are no further announcements that we could make, but in fact, that is very far from the case, as this council just continues to deliver for its residents. There's so much happening at the moment, with so much money coming into the city and so many exciting projects, that I can't think of another period like it, certainly as long as I have been a councillor, and probably some of you who have been here longer than me. So I want to make the following announcements. I'm delighted to update that the council's £19.5 million levelling up funding has now been formally confirmed, and we're in the process of onboarding with MHCLG. This not only unlocks investment in the Civic, but also in the Mountbatten Centre, Oceans Gate and Mill Bay. The next exciting project we can look forward to now is the provision of shore power by ABP, which will enable Mill Bay to head towards net zero. Really significant moment. Following on from Cabinet, we had the formal launch of the Ports Plan at the Marine Station last week, with well over 50 stakeholders in attendance. As part of the events, we held a Marine Roundtable to consider how the plan will be delivered, not only by the Council, but also by our partners. And last week, we broke ground and formally started our £4 million refurbishment of the Mountbatten Centre as part of the Lottery Heritage Fund Horizons bid. This new scheme will see a new reception area, new changing rooms and a brilliant new cafe bar. The works will take 12 months and be ready for the 2026 season. I have to say something about David Northey at this point. I know that Councillor Evans, the leader of the council, has referred to your retirement in a number of forums, but actually I think it's really important to note that this is your final cabinet meeting, and we would like to extend our gratitude for your outstanding contributions as Service Director for Finance and Section 151 Officer at Plymouth City Council. Your dedication, David, and exceptional leadership will leave a lasting impact within the council. Throughout your 15 years with Plymouth City Council, you've consistently demonstrated an unwavering commitment to excellence. Your success in leading financial teams during periods of significant change and budget reductions has been truly commendable, and I'd like to personally thank you for your work and your support on the children's budget. You really do personify the definition of public service, David, and I really hope you enjoy your retirement, which you have thoroughly earned. So as we bid farewell to your remarkable tenure, we are also delighted to welcome Ian Trisgrove, who will be the new Service Director for Finance and our Section 151 Officer, effective from tomorrow. A big day in the office for you, Ian, tomorrow. He joins us with a wealth of experience and a commitment to continuing the legacy of strong financial leadership and innovation at Plymouth City Council. We look forward to working alongside Ian as we navigate the future together. Thank you. So that's the end of leaders' announcements. So I think now it's, yes, 2 rounds of applause in Cabinet today, but both thoroughly deserved. So we now move to item, sorry, I'll get it. Thank you very much, Vice Chair. 13. That's Cabinet member updates. So who has got updates? Start with Councillor Penberthy.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to bring you up to date with 4 announcements covering 3 areas of work, and to publicly thank the government for provision of funding for each of these. Firstly, I'd like to thank the Department for Work and Pensions for giving us £4,044,511 and 26p. Yes, the 26p does matter. For the Household Support Fund for the coming 12 months. This support will be targeted to help low-income households in need, including families with children of all ages, pensioners, unpaid carers, care leavers, disabled people and single-person households. We're taking a more targeted approach this year, utilising our previous experience and the information available to us and our partners to ensure that we're helping residents who are most in need. Whilst providing support is important, we also want to take a longer-term approach to help prevent households from falling into financial crisis in the future. As in previous years, we will be providing food vouchers during the school holidays for families with children that are eligible for free school meals. That's £11 per week per child for the coming Easter, summer and Christmas holidays and the May, October and February half terms. I just want that to be very clear so that families out there know that that is going to come. And this year we've had certainty from government for the full year, so we're able to make a full year announcement up front. So I'm really pleased to be able to do that. We will be continuing to work with Citizens Advice and Plymouth Energy Community to target people most in need with guidance, advice and financial assistance. We'll be changing the system slightly this year in order to make sure that the financial assistance is provided with support that will support prevention in the long term. So watch out for information coming about that. It's not going to be 8 o'clock in the morning, open, get your bid in, and that's done on a first come, first served basis this year. So don't be expecting that. We're going to be providing support in a much more targeted way. We will also be providing grants for welcome spaces over next winter, building on the success of the previous years, and supporting a range of other projects, once again building on the work that we are already doing. Information on all of this will be provided on the cost of living page of the Council's website and will be updated through the year as things change and develop. So it won't all be out on day one, but the programme effectively starts tomorrow. Secondly, I would like to thank everyone who has responded to the recent consultation on our assisted living policy. We've received 113 responses. This is the largest by far we have ever had on our regular consultations on this policy. And we've had a really positive response to the proposals for change that we have made, as well as some really useful suggestions. I'm looking forward to being able to review these in details and to share those with Councillors Aspinall and Lang, whose portfolios are touched by this. We'll subsequently be publishing our revised approach as soon as we can. Over the past 3 years, we've supported over 500 disability adaptations in people's homes across the city. Last year, we were granted £3 million to deliver disability adaptations in the city, and we're already doing a lot, but we know there's always more demand. I'd like to thank the government for awarding us a top-up of £422,313 from the Better Care Fund to enable us to deliver more mandatory disability facility grant adaptations for people already in the process. That will speed up the delivery, and that is really welcome news. Moving on to homelessness for my last two announcements. I'd like to thank the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government for awarding us £1,531,231 from round 3 of the Local Authority Homes Fund. 8 open market homes will be purchased by Bournemouth Churches Housing Association for use as temporary family accommodation, building on the success of our existing partnership with them in rounds 1 and 2. Having more options specifically for families is especially key because we're well aware of the detrimental effects to mental health caused by prolonged periods in accommodation that's not suited for the needs of whole households, especially for children in bed and breakfast and frequently moving temp accommodation. We will also be purchasing 5 homes for families who are in the UK as part of the Afghan Citizens Resettlement Scheme or the Afghan Relocation and Assistance Policy. It is appropriate that in Plymouth we provide these 5 family homes as they include people who provided roles such as translators, interpreters and clerks for our armed forces serving in Afghanistan and who would now be subject to victimisation by the current government there. Their work, while our troops were in Afghanistan, undoubtedly contributed to saving British lives. The people we'll be housing in these 13 new homes aren't statistics. They're human beings with real lives. Anything we can do to make such a stressful period of their lives more tolerable is time and money well spent. I would like to thank BCHA, other members of the Plymouth Alliance, together with the partners in our refugee support service, who between them will be supporting the families in these homes. Finally, I would like to congratulate our homelessness team and partners for securing a 5th year of funding for our Changing Futures project. The £772,000 award from MHCLG and the National Lottery recognises our success over the past 4 years and enables us to embed learning during the programme's final year to ensure ongoing legacy. Our work has informed thinking across the country. By working with people experiencing hardship, we've been able to tailor services and support that deals with complex needs in a way that a blanket approach could never achieve. Most noticeably, this has been done through the establishment of our peer research network, development of the Your Story approach, the work that we have supported and enabled through the Trauma Informed Plymouth Network, and the creation of the Anti-Racist Task Force and the Anti-Racism Allyship Network, all parts of the city that make real differences to so many people. I would like to thank all of our officers who've been involved in this innovative work, from conception through partnership building to delivery. All of our partners, including the Zone, Trevi, Ahimsa, Be the Change, Improving Lives Plymouth, and Shekinah, and most importantly, those individuals with lived experience who've been fundamental to everything we have achieved and often delivered the programmes themselves. All of this has been made possible thanks to, once again, DWP, the Better Care Fund, DHCLG, and the National Lottery for a combined contribution of new funding to Plymouth for the next 12 months of £6,770,055.26. David, I count the pennies. So our heartfelt thanks go to the government for their support for people who need it most here in Plymouth. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chris. Councillor Hayden.
Thank you, Chair. I also would like to recognise one of our head of services that is retiring today, Sean Stanfield. He is our head of service for libraries, and it's his last working day. He's done some fantastic work in our libraries, and as much as I wish him a great retirement, we shall all miss him. So well deserved, I would say to him. If you wouldn't mind, I just wouldn't mind going back on to last week, Chair. We held an event here in the council for Violence Against Women and Girls Community Grant. So we all know we have a budget for violence against women and girls. I asked for it to be halved, if that was possible. And allow Plymouth community groups who are tackling violence against women and girls in our city, grassroots community people, if maybe they could apply for some grant funding. So we were able to offer up to £5,000, and we put it out. And I'm really excited to say that we've been able to help 9 community-facing, charitable, volunteering organisations have been able to come forward. I believe yourself was with me, and I'm sure you would also agree with me. Some really good organisations there to help our women and girls against any violence. On top of that, I just want to go back to our bereavement services. I know around the table people probably just wouldn't believe that we're looking at having our 2nd open day at the park. Our first one was so successful, and I'm hoping that now things have started to more grow in the park. Our flowers and our shrubberies and things like that are all growing, that people will take the opportunity on the 26th of April, which is a Saturday, and we will be opening from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Where people will be able to come and have a look at the park, the crematorium, even have a little wander around behind the scenes if you fancy it. You don't have to, but I certainly would say while you're there, why not have a little bit of lunch at the cafe as well? But believe me, I will keep reminding people, and hopefully we will see people on the 26th of April at the park. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And as you say, dividing that budget in two, the violence against women and girls work budget, is a really innovative approach to distributing half of that money through those grassroots groups. And I found that afternoon where we met the groups who were recipients of that funding really inspiring, where they talked about their work in general and also about how they were going to spend that money. So thank you for inviting me to that.
Sorry, Chair, I should have said we are the first again. You know, we sit around this table as a cabinet and we hear about the first of things. We do quite a lot. So we are the first in the area to do anything like this. Cornwall are now asking how we've done it and can they get on board. So yeah, another service that we can be very proud to show off that we've done as a council. Thank you, Chair.
Again, as we said, not many places like Plymouth. Councillor Dan.
We are very unique though. I mean, I've done quite a lot of work with Sport England and they say that some of the things that we're doing are sort of across organisations in collaboration across the city. They could not deliver anywhere else. And I think it's something we should pat ourselves on the back. Anyway, that isn't why I was going to speak. I just wanted to sort of follow on from what Councillor Pemberley was saying, really, just about grant funding. I am obviously not so, I don't cross as many T's as Councillor Pemberley, because I was going to say we've got just over £1 million of fit and fed. I think it was 1,043,000, but don't quote me on that, please. It's over £1 million. And I just wanted to remind people that we are starting the clubs again, and they really, really are important. I mean, the cost of living hasn't gone away, for one, and so these are free clubs for some of the most deprived children across the city, because they have to be on preschool meals. But it's also for our looked after children, children with SEND needs. So it really is a programme that if we didn't have the money for, we would miss. But of course, we also keep a lot of our partners going as well, because we do spread it right across the city and it's based in communities. So I had a quick look just in case, and just this Easter alone, we've got 66 general clubs, we've got 6 specifically for SEND, and a couple of teen and taster classes. So this is before we go into the big summer programme and the fit and fed events which happen in the park. And they are important because over the course of the year, we will support probably somewhere in the region of 23,000 young people access these taster sessions. So you never know. We might find that we've got an absolute brilliant athlete out there because they've just had a go at sailing. We never know. But it is wonderful that we can offer these opportunities to children across the city.
It is. Thank you, Councillor Dan. And I've got one last announcement, which is on the box. Jill Bradley's new exhibition, Running and Returning, opens to the public on Saturday, the 5th of April. The outdoor sculpture, The Hop, has already been installed on Tavistock Place, and it's been really interesting to sit in the cafe of the box and watch people go past it and trying to work out what it is. I think it's absolutely stunning, and we're really privileged and lucky to have it here in Plymouth. So nobody else has any announcements? So now I'm on item 14, which is the LGA roundup. So I'm just going to quickly talk through this. So the LGA continues to be busy working with government to highlight a range of issues, from discussing the role of councils in fostering community cohesion at the Women and Equalities Committee's inquiry, to providing oral evidence to the Transport Committee as part of its inquiry into the management and impact of street works. But it is local government funding that is top of the list. On Wednesday, 26th of March, the Chancellor addressed Parliament with the spring forecast. The LGA put together an excellent on-the-day briefing highlighting the key announcements. The Chancellor said that the government will create a £3.25 billion transformation fund to support key public sector reforms and deliver savings for the taxpayer, invest in additional employment, health and skills support from 2026-27 to help people start or stay in work, while rebalancing the payment levels and universal credit to promote work. Take the next step to reform the children's social care system, providing an additional 25 million for the fostering system. Very welcome from my point of view. Invest an additional 2 billion in social and affordable housing in 2026-27 as a down payment on this government's housing ambitions. In total, the government has also announced an additional 3.4 billion to support our public finances and public services by 2029-30, and committed to holding a spending review every 2 years, setting departmental budgets for a minimum of 3 years. Local government urgently needs more funding and financial stability. This is evidenced by the responses received in the most recent LGA survey carried out in January. Councillor Louise Gittins, LGA Chair, continues to lobby for local government finance issues, describing councils as the backbone of our country, stating that every critical service a council provides needs to be funded properly. On behalf of local government, Councillor Gittins is arguing that the government spending review must provide a long-term plan to adequately fund councils so they can provide the services communities rely on, and that councils stand ready to work with government to make real change happen. So that's the end of that update, and that is the end of this meeting, which I think is a pretty significant meeting that I personally feel very proud to be part of, and I think we should all feel very, very proud to be part of. Thank you very much.